Okay, now let's look at the law of diminishing returns of static strategies, and I'll elaborate this. Sometimes you'll see I'll try and use a whole bunch of descriptive words, and maybe sometimes they don't even make sense, but I'll try and elaborate here a little bit further and really trying to hit the point home as you evolve and develop as a trader. Now, it's what I call the excessive harvesting of the same strategy usually ends up becoming null and void. And you can see in this picture on this image over here, you see this this field of wheat or barley that's colored in as a price ladder, and it's almost kind of a monoculture crops, the monoculture crops of the world, your wheat farms, your corn farms, and eventually what actually happens to the land is, because it's not a self-sustaining efficient ecosystem, is that the land actually starts dying because it's harvested with one crop, and to harvest anything with one crop requires over time excessive pesticides and fertilizer, and eventually the land dies because you're exploiting the land, where over time you gain a really good yield, but then as time evolves, as the land starts dying because you're doing something that's almost unnatural to the environment, it stops yielding the fruits of the land, as opposed to these wonderful ecosystems, these forest systems, where there's this entire community and communication between different plants, and this symbiotic relationship between all these elements, and these are also thriving communities when everyone is benefiting from the system, and as a result of that, you have a really strong yielding crop in those types of edible food forests or forest ecosystems. And it's the same you can apply with nature. You can apply to the financial marketplace, and I can go through years where at one time there was great opportunity and a typical type of play, but once that opportunity gets really traded to the nth degree, and remember, 99% of people lose money in this game because 99% of people don't think like the 1%, they don't evolve like the 1%, they don't try and learn from their lessons like the 1%, they don't try and adapt as the market evolves, because the market is always evolving. And I can give you a whole host of examples. We had a flippers, and this is when algorithms are flipping between a range, as we spoke about in our previous modules. Now, they were so prevalent in the DAX for about 2-3 years, over the last 3 years. Now they don't exist. So any trader that never kind of evolved with the flipping market space has been able to observe these types of algorithms in the marketplace and extract opportunities. Well, if they never evolved, they don't know where to extract the same opportunity. And now this past 12 months, the morning stop runs and overnight stops, we used to come in the market, I'm talking about for years, during the financial crisis, during the Japanese tsunami, where you have these massive overnight moves in America and Asia, and then the European market would open at the futures session would open up at 7 a.m. There would be a gap about 20 ticks above or 50 ticks above the previous night's high. And as a result of that, you're looking for a stop run. So you'd buy the open if there was, say, a geopolitical event. You'd buy the open and you'd get your exits ready immediately. You get a quick stop within a millisecond, and you'd take 30 ticks with a significant size. Guys making anything between $1,000 to $100,000 in a blink of an eye. Well, that hasn't existed. We had Brexit this last year. We've had Trump this year, and when the European markets open, and we've had a few events where the moment it opens higher, it actually doesn't stop up a little bit, it actually collapses the other way around. I'm talking about the bond markets here. So where this opportunity was such a banker for traders, now it's completely changed and it's completely different. And now some traders are actually figured out some different strategies around those morning stop runs, or type of reversal plays that they're now executing, where they wait for the market to open, they observe that it hasn't stopped, and they start executing another trading strategy. And that's the evolution, because they have observed it's not working currently. So really important. Month-end trading, almost for about 18 months in the S&P 500 and the Bund futures, we had these great month-end flows, from 3:30 until 4:15 in the European session, where you just see these big block buys come into in the German bond market if there was a significant month-end extension, and traders would just be able to buy in front of these buyers, and it would really accelerate quickly, and guys would make excessive money again. And some traders would just really trade once a month on this play, but this no longer exists. But there are different types of patterns on these month ends. But are you the one that has figured it out? I know many of our traders, at Axia Futures have figured it out, of different types of month-end contrarian trades at different times of the day, at a day before the event, and that's really for you to figure out. And it really shows you, as long as you're evolving, as long as you're adapting, as long as you don't become one-sided in a mindset and trying to extract the opportunities that are no longer there because you're blinded by the past, or this mental inertia that's carried you, that past successes don't necessarily lead to future success. Don't ever rest in your laurels. The ECB LTROs, those whenever the ECB engaged in these very key long-term liquidity refinancing operation when they started after the European financial crisis, there was about 3 months where if you were prepared, you knew that this was a potential market moving, the first 3 announcements, you were able to trade the short end of the bond market with this excessive size. Guys who are prepared, young graduates who were averaging, making £400 a day, had the ability now to make potentially £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 a day because of the effective flows that are coming to the market. They're very observable, but they're observable if you're prepared at that specific moment and knowing what you're looking for. And once you saw what you're looking for, then you could start acting with conviction. BOE purchasing. Recently, that's coming to the fore. Since their QE that they engaged in last year after Brexit. So there are 2 or 3 BOE purchases, and these are kind of more fundamental flows. But you could see it very observant on the gilt ladder, and therefore you could actually trade other peripheral bond markets in order to, if you weren't trading the gilt directly. So that was something that our traders have been making some money off recently. And then the German CPIs. 2-3 years ago, they were market moving events. Then they went through a dormant phase because the ECB was not concerned with them. Now this, beginning of 2017, they have becoming massive numbers again, where they can move the market. They're more significant than the so-called non-farm payrolls. And how I describe significance is they bring more volume into the market when that data point is released, and the strategies that you execute. So remember, I'm just giving you a few examples here. And I've given examples of order flow patterns, potential stop hunts and breakout plays, or fundamental macro data points, and how they have their own evolutionary time cycle. There's a seasonality for opportunities. There's a season for events, but you don't really extract this or understand this if you don't have something that's very specific, which we'll be talking about in the next slide.